Welcome, my name is Neil Moorcraft. This is Automate, and in this module we're going to go back into our website and we're going to install some essential third-party plugins. Now, if you're not familiar with this, a plugin is basically just a little bit of code that connects to your website. There's lots and lots of plugins inside the WordPress environment. In fact, it's one of the main reasons that WordPress has been so successful, because they've created an ecosystem for people to basically create add-ons to it and then put them into a system where you can very easily install them and add them to your site. So yeah, one of the great things about WordPress is that you'll find that there really is a plugin for everything. Now, the reality of it is you don't really want to use a plugin unless you have to, and you certainly don't want lots and lots and lots and lots of plugins on your site, because ultimately you have to keep them up to date. And they can conflict with one another. But certain plugins, and certainly the ones we've got listed here, we're going to want to install. If you do want to install plugins outside of this, first just see if there is a way that you can do it without the plugin. So for an example, if you're just adding a bit of script or a bit of code to a page, you'll find that Thrive already has that within the environment. Equally, Thrive themes, the reason we chose that in the first place is because all of the essential plugins come part of that theme and they keep up to date automatically, so that's great. But yeah, if you want to educate yourself more on the plugin ecosystem, then just Google WordPress plugins and you'll find a website and just read up about that. But so we're going to install the essential ones, and I'll show you how easy that is to do. We're then just going to configure your company's privacy policy, and that's important for a couple of reasons. One, you really now to be GDPR compliant, if you're collecting email addresses or anything like that, you do need to have an up-to-date GDPR privacy policy. And secondly, when we're running paid ads to a page, Google and other advertisers will insist that you have an up-to-date privacy policy, so we want to get that ticked and get that out of the way. And then we're just going to look a little bit more about customizing your website and how easy that is to do within the Thrive theme builder, and then have a look at the landing page and various funnel setups that we can deploy now that we've got an idea of what that funnel is going to look like. And hopefully by now you've played around with that Guru bit of software and you've educated yourself on the different types of funnels, and maybe you've started to get an idea of what funnel you want to deploy in your own environment. So without further ado, we'll head over to our Asana workspace. Just make sure that we're in the right section here, because as I say, lots of these do contain links. Now obviously we know where we're going. We're going to head back to our main site and we're going to log in and start to deploy these plugins. So go into the back end of your website. You'll see these got updates. They're going to be common, by the way, and you want to try and keep your updates updated. But we're going to skip that for now. We're just going to go down to plugins and we're going to have a look at what's already installed. And as I say, this Akismet is an anti-spam plugin, and you are going to want to configure that at some point, certainly before you go live, but you need to just pay for that, and there's no point paying for it right now because no one knows the sites exist, so you're not going to get any spam. But we do want to do that. It's only a $5 or something silly. All these other plugins are what come with the Thrive Ovation, the Thrive Product Manager theme. We're going to keep those up to date. But for now, we're going to add a new plugin. So you just click Add New, and then instantly you're going to get this marketplace, but again there are thousands in there, so we know what we're looking for, and it's called SiteKit by Google. Now all this plugin does, let's do a different search for that because obviously you're not found it. You will find actually that the search in here is funny, not that good. But we'll find it, I'm sure. Why are we not finding it? Maybe a space. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, something as silly as that. And we want to install that plugin. It's free. The fact that we're doing it from this environment means we don't have to go away and download the plugin and upload the plugin, all that kind of stuff. It's just done it automatically from the ecosystem that exists within WordPress, and we're just going to activate that. Once that's activated, you'll see it in here. And then we're going to come in and we're going to configure that. We're going to do all of that at the same time. So we've done our SiteKit, that's fine. We're then going to look for a plugin called Lead Booster by Pipedrive. Now, you may or may not want to do this. I love it, but depending on what CRM system you use, you may not need to do this now. So we haven't touched on the CRM yet because we're not there, but this plugin is a sort of prerequisite for that CRM to work nicely, and it's like your chat messenger facility that we're going to install in a minute from Facebook, but it's an automated chat bot. So you can create a series of questions and answers within Pipedrive. You can link that information into your CRM, and then we can put that chat bot on the front of your website or on your service page or something like that. And it's going to collect information for us and sync that with our CRM automatically. So that's a great plugin. We're going to want to install that, and equally, once that's installed, we want to activate it. And then we're going to install our Facebook Messenger plugin. Now, again, when we talk about Messenger plugins, there are a lot of alternatives, live chat and that kind of thing. I've tried all of them, and I've come back to Facebook Messenger for a couple of reasons, mainly because a lot of people that are using chat are linking that into Facebook Messenger. The integration is really good. The chat plugin in itself works really well. You can use live chat as an alternative that works well with Pipedrive, but to be quite honest, it's a little bit overkill, as in fact a lot of these plugins are. There are companies out there that once you've got the plugin installed, you can outsource the service. So if you just want someone to manage the service for you, you can. But as a small business, and it's quite likely you're going to have a Facebook page, the Facebook plugin works really well. So and it's very easy to configure. So we're going to configure and activate that, and then lastly we're going to install our Yoast SEO, which is arguably the most arguably the most important plugin of all of these plugins, which is the Yoast SEO. Now, I know we've talked a little bit about SEO, but fundamentally, as I said, fundamentally, there are only two types of SEO, and that is on-page and off-page. And your off-page is really your backlinks to your website, and your on-page is just how well you structure your content. And the Yoast SEO does that for you superbly. So don't even bother looking at any of these other ones. SEO, as I said before, really is a subject in its own right. And there's a lot to know about it, but initially, as we go through this process, we're just going to activate that plugin, we're going to set it up properly, we're going to focus on our core content, make sure that we've got all of that bang on, get a nice green light in our traffic signal, and then we're going to move on. And as I say, ultimately, if you want to come back and pay for that plugin, there is a premium version which will give you some local advantages, and it'll allow you to do structured content and some other stuff like that. But at this stage of the game, we don't want to worry too much about that. Now, coming back to this Pipedrive, we can't configure that right now because we're going to need to know our CRM settings. So that was just so that it's there out the way. We will configure our Google. Facebook, equally, we're going to need to know the Facebook login details for that, and I don't have those at hand, so we're going to skip that part for now. But the Yoast plugin and the Sitekit are the two most important at this stage, and that's what we're going to do. So if we go into where are we? Yoast, and just go settings, you'll see that this is pretty straightforward. It just takes you through a little wizard, which is, as I say, the fundamentals of setting up your page for SEO. And because we've got a nice clean site here, this is all very easy to do. Okay, we don't want premium. That's done, I think. Even easier. There used to be a little WYSIWYG process that you went through, but I don't think it's even that anymore. It's just as simple as that. Yeah, so all of these basic settings you don't need to touch. They're all configured for you properly in the first instance. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. SEMrush is a site that if you do really want to focus on SEO, that's worth joining. But right now you definitely don't need to worry about that. And Webmaster Tools we will configure when we have our Google Webmaster details, which right now we don't. So let's go back to plugins and have a look at Sitekit. In fact, now once you see these plugins here and they're already activated, you'll then see that they live in this sidebar, and it's from the sidebar that you then configure them further. So equally, just before I do that, you'll see that there's a Yoast SEO plugin, and then there's various tools in there. We'll come back to that in a minute. Don't mind helping Google out, so we'll set this up. Now, of course, we've done this initially. I'm already logged in up here as 186 Cloud, so that's fine. It will just look for that Google account. It will find it and ask me to log in. and verify who I am. And then once I've done that, it's going to connect the Google Analytics and the Google Ad account to the WordPress installation, and that's just going to give us the information we need in one place. So again, early on when you're doing ads and that kind of stuff, and you're looking at analytics and bounce rates and all that kind of thing, you don't necessarily want to be coming into your website and then into a Google Suite and then back out and all the rest of it. And this plugin just allows you to do everything in one place, and that one place is your own website. So see, literally just as simple as that. You'll start to see now that this is going to be pulling in some data. We don't have an AdSense account, but we do have an analytics account, so we're going to connect that service. We set that up right in the at the beginning, if you remember. And again, all that's going to do is go off to Google Analytics, have a look for that account, ask us to verify that we own that domain, and then come back and verify it. I apologise for this, it looks like there might be a problem with my website connection, the internet connection maybe. Don't necessarily want to refresh that in case that's still doing something, but it doesn't look like it's doing anything. I'm going to refresh it. Yeah, okay. And then we're just going to log back in like we did before and give access. And you can kind of start to see, I think, with this now, that these are the sorts of things that agencies are going to tell you, it takes a lot of time and a particular skill to set up. And you realise, actually, they don't. It's a few clicks on a website and you're done. As I say, the technology is so easy now that it's already there. It looks like we've got to go back into analytics and set up that property, so we can configure that from here. Sometimes this gets a little bit tricky when I've got so many different Google accounts running and open. Sometimes get bits confused. I doubt that you'll have that problem. But in fact, we didn't have that problem. It's fine. So that's it. So Search Console's connected, Analytics is connected. We'll connect site speed as well. Site speed is important once you get everything done, to make sure that it loads quickly. And by installing that little bit of Google there, it's going to give us the analytics we need down here. And of course, right now, nothing's active, so it's not doing anything. But when we come back into there, you'll start to see these configurations change. And right before we liven up the site, we're going to come back into here, and if that site speed isn't quite good enough, there's going to be a plugin that we can install to tweak that. And if needs be, you can go out to Fiverr and get someone just to come in and do that for you if you're not comfortable doing it. But right now, that's your essential plugins out the way. I'm just going to have a look at this SEO just to make sure that we didn't skip anything there, because I say that looked a bit too easy, and I haven't installed that plugin basically for a while because all my sites have already got it. It looks like that's fine, so we don't need to do anything there. What will happen on that SEO plugin, and we'll come to our home page just as an example. If we go to edit that page, and this is in the traditional editor rather than the Thrive Architect editor, you'll see that there is now a section somewhere for SEO. Now, depending on, here it is right here at the bottom. There. So once we've got some content in here, we know that this phrase in here, for example, is going to be unified communications. That's our main keyword. We're going to want to put that in there. Then we're going to want to change this slug. This is the bit after the domain. So we've got unified communications.technology, unified communications again. In fact, unified communications. SAS, that's another one of our keywords. Communications. And then we're going to want to write a meta description. We won't want to do that now. We'll think about that later. That's much easier to do once you've got the content, and I'll come back to the content. But that little plugin now gives us this traffic light system. So we can save that, just update, and then you'll see here that you've got this SEO overview, which at the moment is kind of orange, and that's because we haven't done this and we haven't actually configure that main page content, which is what we're going to do in a minute. And the readability is just kind of giving us a quick overview of how that page is constructed. Now, because we've installed a landing page theme, it's looking at that and going, yeah, you know what, we're kind of 90% there. So when we put our content in, we won't have to do a lot. That's automatically going to be done. And when we get this and we get both of these to green, that is our on-page SEO done. It's as simple as that, and then all we need to do is go away and backlink that content and get some good quality backlinks, and slowly but surely you will start to rank for that and get natural traffic from it. So that's the plugin section. It is as easy as that. We're now going to have a look at customizing your website a little bit further, and as I said, there is a lot of information out here already on Thrive Themes. So if you go to Thrive Themes and then you click the university, you'll see that they've got lots of courses, all free, most of them are free, that are going to give a lot more detail about how you can actually configure and use the plugin. And there's no point me going through all of those now because there's a lot to cover, and arguably they're going to be better at showing you this than I am. But if you want to have a look at, just create the landing page, for example, you'll find that there's little mini courses within Thrive that will show you exactly how to do that in a lot more detail than what I've done. Alternatively, you can just come in here and start to play around. Ultimately, of course, it's really not that difficult. You just create a page and grab a template like we've seen. I've skipped over this. We do want to go and create your privacy policy, and you'll find that there's already a page that's been generated by Thrive. And if we just have a quick look at what that page looks like, sorry, not quick edit, we want to just edit that page. You'll see that that's already got some dummy content in there, which is fine while you're building it, but ultimately that's not going to be enough. Let's go to the Thrive editor and you'll see that that's already just inserted some dummy text. It's okay, you can leave that text, to be fair, but as I say, you do want to make sure that you're compliant. And the site I use for that is this guy here. Forget what they're called, Get Terms. There's a link in your Asana workspace to this website. If you come into privacy policy, look, I'm pretty sure I'll put a link in there for you. Yeah, Get Terms. That takes you to this site here. You can pay for it, and again, depending on what you're doing, you might want to invest $50 in that comprehensive policy, and once that's done, it will stay updated and all that kind of stuff. For this client at this stage, a free one is perfectly fine, so I've just taken the liberty there, putting the details in, so you don't have to watch me do that, and then I can just generate those terms, and that will configure a policy which is good enough for now. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard, come back into my page, get rid of this content here, just delete that altogether, insert a new text block, and then just copy that, paste that content in. Now you can see that that's pasted it and it's just put it all in one bit. You might want to, of course, go through that and format it a little bit. It's pretty straightforward, and this is just very easy, just a WYSIWYG kind of setup that I'm sure you're used to. So as I say, that will do for now. You may, as I say, want to make sure you get the right privacy policy in here, but you're definitely going to want a privacy policy, and then just save that work. These little buttons down the bottom, if you haven't figured it out, will just show you what that looks like on a tablet and then on a mobile device, but typically it's already formatted. You don't need to do anything, so that's as straightforward as that. Actually, that's a good point. As I scroll down, you see these links at the bottom. This information is missing, and that's missing because at the moment we haven't gone in and configured our main settings. So in order to do that, I just want to go back to the main admin panel, and then down to the bottom to the Thrive dashboard, and then into oh sorry, that was right the first time. Thrive dashboard, and then into this smart site, which is here. and then you can just configure the smart settings in here, so company name, address, etc, etc, etc. Again, I'm not going to do that now because that will take me 5 minutes and there's no point you sat there watching me do it, but I'm rest assured that's going to be done, and that's something you're going to want to do as well. And of course then set your various different Ds up. Now I've just sent an email over to Noam just to chase up that order, and if you're with me on that, you should be just about getting that information back from them, so you'll know what your Facebook and your YouTube and your LinkedIn URLs are and all that kind of stuff. But right now we don't, so we can't fill it in. But once you've done that, that's kind of it. That's the bones of your site, and as I say, we're now starting to really focus on the content. So we've got the landing page set up. I've gone off to order the sales copy for that. The next piece of building that will be to integrate that sales copy onto the landing page, and just tweak that and make sure that the branding's right and all that kind of stuff. So say it's really, really easy to do, and you can of course go and do that. When we talk about landing pages and funnels, and I want to come back to this again because yeah, we've got an idea of what we want, we've seen how easy it is, but what kind of funnel do you use? And we've got these tools at our disposal. So we've got Guru, where we know we can go and have a look at some funnels that work. We've got Thrive with all of these things already pre-built, but which one do we choose? Well, the reality of that is that's going to be down to you. There is no one site fits all. There is no super duper funnel that works every time. It really depends on what you're selling and how you're selling it. But the easiest way to start to think about what funnel is best for you is your sales process. So take it out of the digital for a minute and think about it in terms of, well, you've just met someone, you're in a room, you say hello, you've engaged, and what do you want to do? Think of that next process as the funnel. So I'm pretty sure we're going to use a quiz for this 186. But I'm actually not convinced, and the reason I'm not convinced is what I don't want to do is create a funnel just for the sake of it. So I'm going to wait until the sales copy has come back over to me. I'm going to get that sales copy on the landing page, and I'm going to look at that and review it from a customer's perspective before I go off and build a quiz. So as I say, initially when I mapped this out, I thought, yeah, quiz is a good way to segment those customers, and it's a good way to get those leads coming through. But then when I thought about it some more, I thought, hang on a minute, am I just putting a barrier up? If the site content is good enough and if the call to action is clear enough, it might make more sense just to go straight to a contact form and generate a lead. As I said, the purpose of the funnel is just to convert in the first place. So don't think you need a long funnel where you go from an opt-in page to a video to a sales letter and all that kind of stuff just to get a lead. In the example of 186 Cloud, what I'm doing here, someone's done a search for Unified Communications Technology or Unified Communications Supplier, they've seen an ad, they then hit a page that's very succinct messaging with what they're looking for. Maybe a call to action to say click here for a free audit is good enough. I say I don't want to make that decision until I've seen that content. And in the meantime, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come through here and have a look at some of these tutorials. I mean, I don't know it all. I've been doing this a long time and I get it. But of course, there's new things coming out all the time. And I want to just make sure that I'm not missing anything. So I would advise you to do the same. Come over to your Thrive Themes University, do a search on this, have a look, and then each one of these you'll see that you can just go through and it will tell you exactly how to do it, and then you can come back into your website, come down to your Thrive dashboard, into your various plugins. So a quiz builder if you're building a quiz, or just a regular page, and then have a template if you're going to build just a regular funnel. But yeah, just familiarise yourself with all of these, and then we will move swiftly on. So with that in mind, I'm going to leave you to it. Spend a bit of time on this. Don't skip over it, and I will see you in the next module.